spend a lot of time talking about John and Haley. I'm going to let them talk to you because their story deserves more time than I do. So I'm going to come on up.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for being here this evening. And it's amazing because without your support and your contributions, the foundation of Indiana would just not exist. So thank you very much for all of your support. And I'd also like to thank Sandy Pollard for inviting us here this evening and for her amazing work that she's done across the state. She is a tireless advocate for the community. And before I go into a little bit more about my role at the foundation and what I'm all about, I would just like to let Allison and Haley say some words to you. And before I do, I'd just like to, I'll hand the mic over to Allison first, but she is an amazing partner in our journey together through epilepsy. And she is an amazing wife, an amazing mother, and I don't know where I'd be without her, because it's been a really tough road. So I'm gonna let her take the mic for a little bit, and then Haley will say some words, and I'll come back after that.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so very much for being here. It means so much to our family, and it means so much to us that we can be here tonight to share our story with all of you. Unfortunately, Olivia isn't here with us, Livy, and she's the one who has epilepsy. She does not travel very well, so she's not here, but I assure you she is here in spirit with all of us. Our family story with epilepsy started just over 11 years ago. John and I were just about to become new parents. We found out we were having twin girls, and we were very excited, as you can imagine. But unfortunately, just hours after the girls were born, Livy had the first of many, many seizures. And the doctors performed a multitude of tests on her, and they ultimately found out that she had a brain malformation. And the brain malformation was what was causing the seizures. And she also has cerebral palsy. She's in a wheelchair. She's nonverbal, and she's completely dependent on us for all of her care. So Livy spent the first 9 months of her life living either in a hospital or in a hospice house. And we tried an unbelievable amount of medications on her to try to stop these hundreds and hundreds of seizures that she was having every day, but nothing was working. So John and I made the decision to have not one, but 2 major brain surgeries done for Livy. But even those surgeries did not stop these relentless seizures. So to this day, Livy still has seizures, not every single day, but just about every single day. But through it all, this little girl has the biggest smile in the world and is full of so much joy. And she brings our family so much hope and inspiration. So we decided together that we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to get involved and to give back. And by helping others, we realized that it takes the focus off of our own personal struggles. And a very special part of our family is this little girl right here. This is Livy's twin sister, Haley. She is the one who brought so much joy to our family, especially when things were so full of darkness. She was the one who brought the light. She's an amazing advocate for Livy and for so many kids with special needs. And John and I are such proud parents, and for so much that she does with the epilepsy community. So we'd like to introduce you right now to Haley, please.
Mommy. Hi, everyone. So first, I'd like to thank you all for coming today, and I'm so excited that I can be here. So first, I want to start off with a question. By a show of hands, how many of you have someone in your life that really, truly inspires you? A lot of you. I certainly do, and for me, that person is Livy. She's really given my family a whole new perspective. I can't imagine a life without her. She's taught us all to stay positive after all we've been through. And she's taught us to appreciate the things we have because you never know when you might lose them. She's inspired me to have a bigger purpose in life and to help others. And she's taught me to advocate for our people and to fight for a cause. And she's also played a pretty big part in why I accept people for who they are. I love to hug people, and I know how important it is not to judge others. Free hugs! But of course, Libby's epilepsy does make some things harder in our family. It affects all of us. We don't get to travel as much all together on family vacations, and someone always has to be with Libby because she's constantly relying on us for all of her needs. And sometimes it's hard to plan things far in advance because you never know if Libby's going to have a bad day. But I'll tell you one definite good thing about Libby is that I don't have any bossy sisters coming around and stealing my stuff. And whether she likes it or not, she has to share with me, so I think it's pretty fair that I have to share with her. Our family has really always focused on giving back. And a first time of that for me was years ago when my parents were sitting out on the porch and they were trying to come up with a way they could pay for Libby's therapies because our insurance wasn't covering it. Of course, I wanted to help my sister, so I came out and said, "Can I help?" And how can you say no to that? So a few days later, I decided to get out my paint, easel, and canvas, and I painted a picture. And we sold that picture on eBay. And that was really the start of our organization, Libby's Hope. So after we sold a few things and raised money, we decided we wanted to start giving that money back to the community because so many people had already helped us. Today, Libby's Hope's biggest effort is Lemonade for Libby. Lemonade for Libby is an event that we have every summer, and we encourage people from across the country to have lemonade stands to raise money for epilepsy research. This year, like last year, we're planning to launch Lemonade for Libby 2016 at the National Walk for Epilepsy. But this year, we're going to make it even bigger and better. So last year, when we went to the National Walk for Epilepsy in Washington, D.C., it was the first time that our family had traveled away all together from Florida since 8 years. So the day before the walk, the foundation actually named Libby and I the CEOs of the foundation for the day, and it was really cool. And then on the day of the walk, when everyone was gathered at the Washington Monument, I was able to speak in front of all of them about Lemonade for Libby. So now we're going to show you a video about Lemonade for Libby at the National Walk for Epilepsy last year. Before he worked at the Epilepsy Foundation, he had to try and find time to work on Libby's Hope. And he had all these big ideas about events and projects and campaigns, and he kept dumping them on top of us, and it was starting to drive us crazy. And he used to stay up so late at night, and because he didn't have any time during the day. And I used to ask him every morning, "Daddy, how much sleep did you get last night?" And sometimes he said he got almost none. I said, "Daddy, you really need to start getting more sleep." But behind all of those late nights and big, crazy ideas was his determination to help Libby and so many other people who are dealing with epilepsy. So now I'd like to hand the microphone over to my amazing dad.
Everybody hear me? I'm gonna come down here. I really could not be more proud of a dad for both Haley and for Libby. At such a young age, to give back as much as they do, it's truly amazing. So a lot of the work that we've done through Libby's Hope has truly changed my life. Our tagline is "Don't give up, give back." And to Allison's point before, it's about taking the focus from yourself in really hard times and giving back and doing things for others. It's allowed me to change my perspective from being a victim to one of strength. I can now focus on hope instead of fear. And yes, there's been some extremely late nights, and I used to be up until 4 a.m. doing a project, and then getting up at 6 the next morning to go back to work. So that's difficult. And I am also very guilty of dumping ideas all over my family. So, how many of you know what the Chatty Cathy doll is? Have you ever heard of that, the old one? Right? When you pull it out, it makes lots of noises all the time. So for me, it was events, raising money, blah, blah, blah. And they would actually almost kick me out of the house after dinner. So I had to scale that back. But that passion is what brought me to the foundation. So that's a good thing. It really started for me back after Libby's second surgery. And it was Christmas night of 2008, and up to that day, she had been having a lot of increased seizure activity, so much so that we had used her emergency medications, and it would no longer work. So that evening, after we had dinner with our family, we packed up our bags, and we got ready to take Libby to the hospital. And I could see in Allison's eyes the fear, because we didn't know what to expect next. So we got to the hospital, and they admitted her, and then they proceeded to give her some medication, and they put her on an EEG on her, which if you haven't seen that in a hospital, there's lots of little leads all over the scalp. And they gave us a little button to press every time she'd have a seizure, because the video monitor they were using to watch her, you'd have to actually mark where the seizure occurred. So we started pressing the button. The nurse would come in, and after a while, the nurse just stopped coming in. We were pressing it so often, and they couldn't do anything. So after that, it was one medication after the next. There were no answers, there were just more drugs. They threw everything at her that they could think to do. And that beautiful smile, for which we judge every day, had faded. So after a month and a half of this, the doctors finally said, her option is to have another surgery. And this wasn't any small surgery. This was a hemispherectomy. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's actually disconnecting the entire side of the brain. So we decided to go this route. And the day we put her on a hospital bed, kissed her on the forehead, and watched them take her away for the second time, is absolutely terrifying. Because as parents, we have no idea what could happen next. So the surgery lasted for about 5 hours. And of course, we had great hope, great optimism that this would be her answer. So as we walked in to the room where she was recovering, her little body laying there, she was on a breathing tube, and she had wires all over her connected to machines that were beeping and lights that were blinking. And her face was puffy from the surgery, and her eyes were swollen shut. And I looked at her, and my throat just began to tighten, and I could feel my heart. It was literally being ripped out of my chest. And I watched her, and she had another seizure. And at that point, after years of watching her go through this, I was literally broken. And I had to leave the room because I just couldn't take it anymore. So a short time later, I went back in, and I walked right up to her bedside, and I whispered in her ear. I said, "Libby, honey, I promise to you, I will never leave you ever again." And now I'd like to show you a little video about that promise. Brought leaders from around the epilepsy community together in Indianapolis to show them what the program is all about. And I have to say, I was so excited about the enthusiasm for those that were there. So what is the Community Action Network? The goal is to bring groups of volunteers together from across the country to do more and to be more involved. We will speak with a unified voice, louder than ever before, if we are successful in doing this. And I'm happy to say there's already groups forming right here in Indiana. Somebody actually had a meeting today to bring their group together, and that will continue to happen as we move forward. The focus for the Community Action Network is about supporting the community and spreading the mission of the foundation through awareness and education, through promoting services, through advancement, through fundraising, and participation in innovation and legal advocacy. The acronym is ASAP, because our families cannot wait any longer. I'm so excited about the support that the foundation is willing to give Indiana. The commitment is there to invest more in people and in services and in the Community Action Network. And I'm so excited about the future of the foundation in Indiana. It will be a shining star for what is possible in the rest of the country. So before I finish, I'd like to tell you one more story. And so I was watching a very popular show on TV a few weeks ago. The main character, whose name we'll call Rick for right now, was stuck in this town with a bunch of friends. And the town had been overrun by some really mean, nasty people who we will call zombies. So, anybody know this show? All right, so what does The Walking Dead have to do with epilepsy? Okay, I'll get to that. So, in this particular episode, Rick had just watched a bunch of his friends get attacked. And in the process, his son was also shot. So he scoops up his son and he goes to a nearby house where there's a doctor who can help his son. And as he's watching the doctor work on his son, whose name is Carl, he looks like a father who has lost so much of his family and his friends, and he's at his breaking point. So he turns around, he opens the door, and he walks out into what we know is going to be imminent danger. So in the meantime, there's other friends throughout the houses in this town, and they're all watching him go out there. And they knew that he was going to be in trouble. So one of the other characters says, Rick's making his stand. He's out there fighting them. So one by one, they leave the security of their houses, and they go outside to help him. Now after they've won the battle for the town, which seemed like certain defeat, Rick goes back to his son's bedside where he is recovering. He's unconscious while recovering. He takes his son's hand and he says, "Today, I saw what we can do when we work together. Anything is possible. I want to show you, Carl, a new world. I want to make it a reality for you." That is what I think every time after Libby has a seizure. I want to show her a life and a world without epilepsy and seizures. It's time to make our stand. We can all give back. We can all help others with our time and our talents. We all have these types of resources. You just have to take the first step. Now I promise that I will be in this fight until the end, and I will never give up. Now, we can do this as a family, as a community. We will create change, and we will do this together.